Welcome to War Bios, the podcast where we delve into the most pivotal battles in history, examining the strategic context, operational art, and human drama that shape the course of warfare. Today, we're going to explore one of the most decisive engagements of the ancient world, the Battle of Granicus. This clash of arms marked the beginning of Alexander the Great's conquest of Persia, a campaign that would change the face of the known world. As we embark on this journey, you'll witness the intricate dance of diplomacy, strategy, and tactics that led to this fateful encounter. In the spring of 334 BCE, the Persian Empire, under the rule of Darius III, stretched from the Indus River in the east to the Mediterranean Sea in the west. However, the empire was not without its challenges. The satraps, or regional governors, had grown increasingly autonomous, and the imperial army was still reeling from the aftermath of the Egyptian campaign. Meanwhile, in Macedonia, King Philip II had been busy consolidating his power and building a formidable military machine. His son, Alexander, had already demonstrated his martial prowess at the Battle of Chaeronea, where he led the companion cavalry to victory against the Thebans. As Philip II's plans for a Persian campaign began to take shape, his assassination in 336 BCE thrust Alexander into the spotlight. The young king quickly moved to secure his position, eliminating potential rivals and reaffirming his father's alliances with the Greek city-states. With his authority established, Alexander turned his attention to the Persian Empire, driven by a desire to avenge his father's death, spread Greek culture, and secure the wealth and resources of Asia. The Persian satraps in Asia Minor, led by Memnon of Rhodes, Arsacides, and Mithridates, had been monitoring Alexander's rise with growing concern. They knew that the Macedonian army was a force to be reckoned with, but they also believed that the Granicus River, which flowed into the sea near the city of Cyzicus, would provide a natural barrier against the invaders. The Persians assembled a large force, comprising satrapal armies and mercenary contingents, with the intention of stopping Alexander at the Granicus. As Alexander's army approached the Granicus, they encountered a landscape of rolling hills, wooded valleys, and fertile plains. The Macedonians had marched over 400 miles from Pella, their capital, and were eager to engage the Persians. Alexander's military machine was a finely tuned instrument, with its phalanx formation, agile cavalry, and elite companion units. The Persians, on the other hand, relied heavily on their cavalry, which had proven effective in previous battles against the Greeks. The Persians, with their ornate armor and colorful banners, represented the established order, while the Macedonians, with their practical armor and disciplined formations, embodied the new wave of military innovation. As the two armies faced each other on the banks of the Granicus, the air was thick with tension. The Persian satraps, confident in their numerical superiority, arrayed their forces in a traditional line of battle, with their cavalry on the flanks and infantry in the center. Alexander, however, had other plans. He deployed his phalanx formation, with the companion cavalry on the right flank, anchored on the riverbank, and the hypaspists and other infantry units on the left. On May 334 BCE, the battle commenced as the Persian cavalry, led by Memnon of Rhodes, charged across the river, seeking to outflank the Macedonian line. Alexander, anticipating this move, had positioned his companion cavalry to counter the Persian horsemen. The two forces clashed in a frenzy of hooves and steel, the sound of clashing armor echoing across the plain. As the Persian cavalry struggled to gain traction on the muddy riverbank, Alexander seized the initiative, leading a daring charge with his companions against the exposed Persian flank. The Persians, weighed down by their ornate armor, were no match for the agile and disciplined Macedonian horsemen. As the companion cavalry cut through the Persian lines, the satrapal infantry began to waver, their morale shaken by the sudden collapse of their cavalry screen. Alexander, sensing victory within his grasp, pressed his advantage, driving his phalanx formation forward with relentless precision. The battle raged on for several hours, the outcome hanging precariously in the balance. The Persian satraps, desperate to stem the tide of defeat, committed their reserve forces, including a contingent of elite immortals. However, Alexander's tactical genius and the bravery of his troops ultimately proved too much for the Persians. As the sun began to set on the Granicus plain, the Persian army was in full retreat, leaving behind a trail of dead and wounded. One notable example of Alexander's cunning during this battle was his use of a feinting maneuver. where he pretended to weaken his right flank, luring the Persian cavalry into a trap. As the Persians took the bait, Alexander swiftly shifted his forces, exploiting the gap in the Persian line and delivering a crushing blow to their exposed flank. This masterful stroke sealed the fate of the battle, cementing Alexander's reputation as a brilliant tactician. As the dust settled on the Granicus plain, Alexander surveyed the aftermath of the battle, his eyes taking in the carnage and devastation. The Persian dead numbered in the thousands, while Macedonian casualties were relatively light, estimated to be around 300 to 400 men. Despite the lopsided victory, Alexander was characteristically magnanimous in triumph, ordering his troops to tend to the wounded and bury the dead with honor. As the sun dipped below the horizon on that fateful day in May 334 BCE, Alexander's army had secured a crushing victory over the Persian forces at the Battle of Granicus. The aftermath of the battle saw Alexander's troops tending to the wounded and burying the dead with honor, a testament to his characteristically magnanimous nature. The Persian satraps, on the other hand, either killed or fled in disarray, their once mighty army now broken and demoralized. In the days that followed, Alexander's army marched unopposed through Asia Minor as local satraps and governors hastened to surrender or offer their allegiance to the young Macedonian king. The Battle of Granicus had sent shockwaves throughout the Persian Empire, exposing the weaknesses of its military and the divisions within its leadership. As Alexander continued his campaign, he was able to exploit these weaknesses, conquering key cities and territories with relative ease. One notable example of Alexander's strategic genius during this period was his decision to found over 70 cities, including Alexandria in Egypt, which would go on to become a major center of culture, learning, and trade. These cities served as vital hubs for the spread of Greek language, culture, and philosophy, leaving an enduring legacy that would shape the course of Western civilization. The Battle of Granicus, though often overshadowed by Alexander's more famous victories at Issus and Gaugamela, marked a pivotal moment in his conquest of Persia. It demonstrated his tactical brilliance, his ability to adapt to changing circumstances on the battlefield, and his capacity for leadership and inspiration. As the ancient Greek historian Arrian would later write, Alexander's victory at Granicus was not just a triumph over the Persians, but a testament to his own unyielding ambition and his vision for a new world order. Today, the Battle of Granicus is remembered as a landmark moment in the history of warfare, a clash of titans that saw the dawn of a new era in military tactics and strategy. The battle has been studied by historians and military theorists for centuries, offering valuable insights into the art of war and the nature of leadership. The legacy of the Battle of Granicus can be seen in the many cultures and civilizations that have been shaped by the spread of Greek language, culture, and philosophy. That's all for today's War Bios. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, I'm General Biography reminding you to keep marching toward victory.